Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Blue Room. Today we're going to be discussing recovery in the UK, and we have with us Sarah from Week to Week, Richard from Charles Hope Apartments, Martin from Abode Bed, Amanda from Stay City, and Peter from Pluxa Service Departments. So welcome everyone. How do I get rid of? There we go. I was wondering how to get rid of the overlay there. Welcome everybody, and welcome to the viewers. Today we'll be discussing the recovery in serviced accommodation in the UK, and the aim really is to. Is it me? Is that feedback? Can other people hear feedback?
I could hear it when you were speaking. There's a little Donald Duck in the background.
Yeah. I wonder. Right. Okay. We'll see if we can sort that.
I'm just going to turn another light on.
Right. So to get a perspective really on what's happened to the serviced accommodation sector over COVID. And where we're going in the future. I'm going to see whether, just a minute. Don't usually do this kind of thing, viewers, but I can't. I don't know where the feedback's coming from. Right, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Richard from SA Marketing, and thank you for joining us. We'll go around in gallery view for order because I think we're all looking at the same gallery. So Amanda, if you'd like to start, then Richard, Peter, Martin and Sarah.
Good afternoon everybody. My name is Amanda Collins and I am the Sales Director for the Northwest over at Stay City.
Yep, thanks Amanda.
Good afternoon, my name is Richard Morin. I'm the CEO of Charles Hope Apartments, and we have service apartments across the UK and in Denmark.
And Peter?
Sorry.
Peter, if you
sorry. I'm glad to see you change it to StreamYard, by the way. I'm Peter from Birmingham, from Pluxa Service Apartments. Apologies for Anita meant to come, but she's busy with the baby, so I had to jump in. So we got a couple of service apartments in Birmingham, and we're going in UK wide as well very soon.
Peter, as Peter just mentioned, Peter's just had baby. Congratulations, Peter.
Thank you, Charles.
living on coffee and chocolate, I'm sure.
It's hard life. It certainly has its own challenges, but we keep it up quite well. I think we keep changing we done it up. The workloads, but we manage it.
Well done. So Martin, please, and then Sarah.
Hi guys, Martin from Abode Bed. We're in Hemel Hempstead. We've been running. We just had our 14th anniversary last month, 1st of July. We're small. We're operating 28 apartments here, and we're busy right now, which we're enjoying.
Thanks, Martin.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah from Week to Week up in Newcastle. We've been offering serviced apartments for 20 years, the original serviced apartment company in Newcastle. We've got about 25 up here as well, similar to Martin down there, but nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. I would like to, at this stage, we'll be playing a video later, but I would like to thank the sponsors of the Blue Room, Integrum PMS, Quality and Tourism, the Sponsor Accommodation, and Service Department Awards. So where do we start really with what's happened over the past 1.5 years? So I think that for me at least, March 2020 was the flashpoint, and it went downhill very fast over that period. I think that we were meeting online quite a lot just to try and take stock in the early days. But if you can cast your mind back at all to 2020, what was the biggest impact that you feel your own businesses had to cope with? I mean, Amanda, I think I'm right in saying, am I not, that Stay City even closed a lot of apartments in the early days? Is that right?
Stay City, what happened with Stay City more than anything else, I think it was like everybody else. We got an immense shock with how quick COVID seemed to impact upon us. And I think it was sitting down, sorting out a strategy of how we could maintain our apartments. I mean, we were very, very fortunate because the management team are very proactive. We did work with Liverpool, for example, where we actually brought in some of the homeless that needed looking after by the actual local authorities. So that has maintained us quite nicely, and they're still in there today. Then what we did is we assessed our key buildings. We've got actually 23 buildings across the country and also in Europe. So what we did was then weigh up how we could sort of look after our staff. A few were furloughed. Majority of the sales team stayed on, which is very, very important to be proactive, because we needed them to be proactive in the market with essential workers. And what we also did, which is very, very clever, is to look into doing rentals within the building. So I would say a third of most of our buildings had rentals. Some of them had 50%. That gave us a great foundation then to work on and to start to build with essential workers. So we're looking at production film, which continued, the government allowed. We're looking at construction, as we said earlier, Richard, which is was the backbone and still is to this very day of the country. So we had a lot of construction workers in all our apartments. We also had people, essential workers in hospitals, like NHS staff. So we had some great contracts with them. An example would be we're working with the Christie in Manchester at Piccadilly, and we've had the Christie with us for the last 2 years. They're due to stay with us for another 12 months because obviously they needed to place people and make sure that they were safe as well, that were having treatments. And then people are very obscure, PAT testing, people that were going into hospital that were doing things like that as well. So a very solid base of essential workers was there, but the shock was more than anything, keeping the cleanliness and getting the standards there and changing for operations. They had to react very, very quickly to the situation. So we brought in fogging machines. We did seals on the door so that everything was closed off when people came in. We had to rethink, what are we going to do with the actual services that we're doing with them. So we had to do packs that people could then go and sort out in their own rooms and make sure that they were there. We had to shut down our cafes and make sure that there was an actual sort of delivery service where they could order, they could deliver. We had other delivery services that we also promoted for guests coming inside the buildings. And more than anything else, I would say the quarantines started to come in as well. When people started to quarantine, we had to react very quickly to that because we had to make sure if anybody was working on a construction site, for example, that had COVID, that we had to go and get all the room fogged and know about it very quickly, and then make sure that we couldn't have people in, for example, with a Christie, we couldn't have people in that were quarantining. It wasn't right to do. So more than anything, it was having regular meetings, having very tight processes to maintain things, review figures, and also people. I mean, people are the most important commodity. And that means not just our guests, but also our staff, looking after them and making sure that they felt secure, making sure they were set up from home, working remotely, making sure more than anything that they were comfortable, they weren't anxious. And the whole team was brought together very, very cleverly by Paula Mullaney, who's our commercial director, and Lisa Murray, who is our national sales director. So all credit to them. It was a superb team job more than anything else, and everybody has pulled together even under the worst circumstances. So it has brought out the best in people under very awkward conditions.
Yeah, that's kind of covered a lot of the kind of what we've been going through. What a lot of companies have been going through. Richard, Charles Hope Apartments, pretty similar experience, I guess.
Really, it's sort of like for like, really. Everything Amanda has just said, we've gone through the same. We, so the only difference for us is we don't have cafes and things in our buildings, but we took the time to have a look at our operations. So we changed everything about guest experience. So we now are completely digital. So we have digital keys, guest books, everything. So we don't have any formal contact with the guest on a face-to-face basis anymore. And we're not going to reintroduce that. Everything is going to be done via our app in the future, because we've pushed it out across every building. That helped us immensely, because we were able to stay open and also at the same time protect our staff. As Amanda said, I think it was all about planning. We furloughed some people, but not really for very long, because we needed our key team members in to help us plan and get through it. We recruited throughout, which was, we tried to bring the best people in to help us get through it, and it's worked well.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Richard. So, Peter, you're so a relatively new company, and one aspect of your own business, which I think viewers will find interesting, is the sourcing side as well. And because you're very close to availability of apartments, but you've seen growth over this period, as I think a number of others have on the panel. But if you could please describe your experiences over the COVID period, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. We still relatively slow. Small compared to the. Can you hear me?
No, it's not good. You might need to come closer to the microphone, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We'll move on
now. Okay. Now I'm trying something else.
Yeah, you try that. We'll come back to you, Peter. Yeah. Yeah, Martin. So Hemel Hempstead, Abode Bed, and I think you've been pretty strong all the way through, have you not?
Well, the first 5 months were a challenge, partly because when the thing hit, we had, obviously, I'm sure everybody had cancellations, and we also got smacked in the nuts by Booking.com when they decided that non-refundable bookings were in fact refundable. So that was pretty horrendous. And then the turnover really from sort of March, April, May, June, July, 5 months was about 30 grand a month down per month compared to the previous year, which wasn't an amazing year either. So that wasn't good. But then when they started to allow new people in, contractors, etc., we had a pretty strong uptick from that. Also, one thing which really helped us out a massive amount is we had quite a few apartments on business rates. I don't know if everybody else has or tends to use council tax, but for the apartments that were all on business rates, we really lucked out with that strategy. And we had an awful lot of government support through the rate system. So that, again, more than made up for the downturn in turnover. And in fact, we got another 2 lumps in April, which was marvellous, really. Completely unexpected, but very nice. And also having rates holidays has made a big difference. On the business side, a bit like some of the others, key workers, helping out families of key workers, all of that kind of stuff. And then when it loosened up a bit more, we managed to get contractors back and some other essentials, etc. And that kept us going. And then since then, it's been building up, and now it's very, very busy. We're I'm reminded of my student days. I spend my days playing Tetris now. Looking at bookings, and if we slide that down there and move that one there, we can free up another space. And that's kind of my favorite way to spend time if you really want the truth.
Is that why your curtains are drawn? Have you been the entire morning on computer games?
Well, there you go. I have no patience for these things generally, but yeah, no, I drew the curtains because there's bright light behind me, and you would be complaining.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean that's the experience. It's not dissimilar to everybody. We're a very small team, so we had nobody really to furlough. Obviously, reviewing procedures in terms of hygiene, etc. It's like everybody. I think we've come through it quite well. I don't believe we've infected anybody, not that I've been made aware of, which is pat on the back for that. We've maintained standards and services. I took the opportunity to review. I mean, I don't know if other people did this. I took the opportunity to review all kinds of things. So, for example, the product itself. So we upgraded televisions across the board, things like that. Put in bigger smart TVs. We had a good, shone a bright light on all the different areas of cost center. Things where money's going out. Said, how can we fix that? So actually, we've come through, I would say, leaner, nicer product, and on the whole, quite strong right now. And the trick, I guess, is to sustain that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. We will come back to you, Peter. Sarah, if I could ask you, and I know that as we go around the gallery, there are fewer and fewer aspects that you can comment on, really. But so a bit
I'll
of the
find something, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's a similar experience with yourself.
Yeah,
is it?
pretty much. And I think the same as with Martin. We are a small team. We all, like, from one day to the next, it was right. Okay, we got to work from home, and it was weird. It was really strange. And the first sort of, we're all like, oh, it'll all be over in 2 months. Oh, maybe not. Maybe 3. No, maybe 4. But within that time, Claire and I and the team were just looking at our processes, looking at like Martin, the cost savings, where we can, how the flow goes, and make sure that everybody is safe, and that we had in-house, we had some guys that couldn't go home, so they were overseas travelers who'd been here since January that couldn't leave until. Yes, Martin, prisoners.
That's what I called
our paying customers, you mean?
Yeah, you're a prisoner.
But they were here, and that was the biggest thing that we missed, I think, last year, was the international travel. Huge. Certainly for Newcastle, all the universities, all the international students, their families coming. The guys from the UAE, they would always come every year, and we miss them, and they stay for weeks. But it did give us time to think about sort of planning for that curveball again, and thinking, because everything was so reactive, wasn't it? We were all kind of going, the hotels were closing doors on people, so they were coming out of the hotels and into the apartments, and nobody really knew what the rules were. And I think as well, from the beginning, there were, we always said, actually, apartments are the best place to go. They're safe. You've got your own surroundings. You can have as much cleanliness as you want in the apartments, for your own sort of peace of mind. We introduced packs and, disinfectant packs and hand sanitizers and fogging and all those kind of things as well. And it just created confidence. And people want, and gradually as it goes on, we it's absolutely ballistic out there. Somebody turned the tap on in July. I don't know quite. It's all gone, but corporates are traveling. We're actually getting forward bookings again. It's leisure are a bit of a tricky market sometimes. Their expectations are obviously much higher than your corporates, but no, they're there. Everyone's smiling. Newcastle's, the sun's out. It's all very positive, and I think we recruited as well, Richard, through sort of coming out the other end, and it's just amazing. And I think credit to everybody, credit to the team, credit to the whole industry, credit to Rich as well for keeping everybody going every Thursday with a glass of wine. You know, it's been, yeah, we know. Yeah, it's the invisible one. But yeah, no, I think you know, it's been an eye opener. It's been humbling. It's been, you know, just and trying to keep positive and smiling all the time it's hard work, but we got there and we did it.
Yeah, tough one, isn't it? But yeah, exactly, really. Yeah, Peter. So if you could tell us a bit about Pluxa and the and you know how you've come through COVID and.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. That's a lot better.
Yeah, better. Okay. So sorry about that. Yeah. So it was over a year now, almost 2 years now, 1.5 when the whole thing started. We were very, very small company at that time. We only had, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 units maybe, and I remember suddenly, obviously, all the bookings disappeared and everybody was gone crazy and panicking and all the other stuff. I can imagine those people who had a couple of hundreds properties that time, a couple of hundreds service accommodation unit. I could feel their pain. It was not a good thing, but somehow we managed to survive. We changed completely the strategy from try to get longer bookings, try to get more direct marketing as well. And obviously, we, as you mentioned, Richard, we have other businesses as well. So we somehow mixed the two, or sourcing, and also, or we had a very, very small marketing team at that time. It was me and another employee. Since then, we actually grow as almost over 60 apartments now we have, which is very strange, actually growing in the middle of the pandemic. But obviously, thanks to our investors and partners and the team, obviously we done a lot of things like you guys mentioned, changing the process, the check-in. There is no physical contact anymore. At that time, we only had one property manager. And now we have a complete team, 24/7 guest support, complete our own cleaning company, maintenance company we run now. So everything is within house. And also we have our own digital marketing agency as well. So we grow up a complete couple of new business during this time. But we had to, because obviously because of the change was required, and we try to get still, even though we didn't know what's going to happen tomorrow, we try to get more apartments. So we try to get the opportunity where we see picking up properties from good price, good rental price, even if it's not the best condition, but we had in-house team. So we made them nice, almost, I say, luxury, with quite cheap price. So that's how we build up our portfolio till now. And obviously, almost all the time it was lockdown or restrictions, only a couple of days, since the market is actually a bit slightly better. But we had a lot of long bookings, corporate bookings, contractors, leisure as well. We had a complete new system we introduced now. Only the digital app is missing, which we are working on currently, the team. So that's going to be the final step, because everything else is actually going now very smoothly. So that's how we survived.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a story of success, a success story over COVID. As indeed, you know, there are so many. We've kind of learned to survive what's been thrown at us, and you know, Richard, I think you mentioned the word furlough, and it reminded me of that other word, pivot. I mean, we've been inventing new words because it's a totally different situation. So it has been that crazy. So I'll pick up on some of those, on some of the things that you've been mentioning. I'd like to just say hi to some of the people who are tuning in, and thank you, by the way, people who are out there. Jack Jumple from Striker, Global Mobility Striker. and he was with us last week when we were talking about Clubhouse. Brian, so hi Brian Maguire from Reservation Software. Veronica, hi everyone, greetings from Sheffield, South Yorkshire. Veronica is a regular on Sabbath. Hi Veronica. Chris, hi. Sometimes that happens with the LinkedIn users. Sometimes that doesn't work. So greetings from Houston. I'm going to take a guess there. It's Nina Taylor, the sweet face. I wonder. We'll find out later. Anthea greetings from Australia. Good grief.
Australia. Wow.
Yeah. What time is it there?
It's
I'm thinking it's 2 o'clock
half 2 in the morning. Yeah.
Goodness me.
well done, Anthea. Thank you for
Yeah.
Probably just coming in.
Yeah. Greetings from Dubai, Zafar.
Dubai.
Hi, Zafar.
Savoy, Dubai.
Hi, Raj.
Raj from Instagram. Hi, Raj. Says Zafar says long stays played a crucial role for us. Also at Savoy, Dubai. Yeah, the long stays. Thanks, Zafar, for that comment, and we'll go on. I'll get onto that. Yep, Raj from our class. Long stays. Greetings from Angela. Hi, Angela. Thanks for your help, Angela. Regarding this particular broadcast, we appreciate it. So please keep your posts, your posts and your questions coming in, the viewers, and also those on LinkedIn. If you use the the applause and the like buttons, emojis, that's also good. So actually, there's some more coming in here. Just a moment. Angela from Corporate Housing Factory, Amsterdam. Right. I wish there was a prize. Hi, Mike. Good to see you again. And Zafar. Okay. So yeah, I think it was you, Martin, that mentioned Booking.com, and you reminded me of a particular situation that that certainly smaller operators were suffering, from which smaller operators were suffering. But I think anybody that was using any of those OTAs, and I won't mention them in particular, but one of them's based over in San Francisco, I think, and they caused a bit of an uproar when regarding the enforcing certain cancellation procedures which allowed people refunds. Did that hit everybody particularly hard, or not really?
From our point of view, at the very beginning, not really, because we hadn't relied so much on the OTAs. It was we were very. It was all direct bookings, pretty much. The OTAs were just in there, and any of the summer bookings that had come through, they were willing to move them to this year. We just moved them for free, I think it was all about the flexibility of the operator, of the provider at the end of the day. Because the OTAs were really not flexible, and it was almost like they panicked, shut the door, and turned it all off, and let us deal with it. So I think from our point of view, we were quite lucky. There's still, they've made it very clear that now that policy is no longer in place. So non-refundable bookings are not a thing anymore, or refundable, non-refundable bookings are not a thing. But I just think it's got to be the provider, and if it's flexible and do the right thing.
Yeah, I think that there is that kind that's come out in the over this period as well, hasn't it? The kind of do the right thing, and we're trying to help other human beings, really. I mean, Amanda, you mentioned about the homeless, NHS, Christie's. So, and I think in the early days, I think that was also a case, was it not, that all the operators really were housing the NHS and sometimes the homeless. It's gone even further in some respects, where there is that accommodation available, and so response accommodation, for example, one of the sponsors, they very much focus on helping the vulnerable, so ex-offenders as one example, but the NHS, it's a big. Anybody like to comment on that particular aspect of your business, or we can move on? No. Okay. I mean, generally speaking, I think that the stays have been in the early, from right at the very beginning. The stays were longer. The bookings were less frequent, and the lead-in times were shorter. Is that? May I just ask, if we go around the gallery? I mean, Amanda, the profile from March 2020 through to, let's say, today, and leave that today as, you know, as where we're going up to. Is that the kind of feature of your bookings at the moment, or are they starting to become shorter bookings with longer lead-ins?
Obviously, we've now opened our doors to the general public as well, to leisure, to staycations. So we are extremely busy in most of our premises, especially the more touristy ones, where you've got Edinburgh, and you've also got Liverpool as well. And it's been incredible how the regions have picked up so rapidly, to be honest. Lots and lots of people seem to be very, very positive, and they're wanting to stay with families. We've also found that there's been businesses are slow at coming back, but we are recontacting our regulars, and they are all very, very positive. The other thing that we tried to do, because obviously Stay City, I don't know how much people know about the company, but Stay City, we had, going back, we started in 2004, and it was two brothers, so Tom and Gear Walsh, that set up in Dublin, and we had six apart hotels. We now today have 23 apart hotels and 6 new ones that are opening this year. So it just goes to show that when things happen like COVID, it's very much survival of the fittest, and the land lies very, very differently. I mean, I worked for a company previously called Bridge Street, and Bridge Street was in the business for 40, 50 years. Sadly, they went into receivership last December, and it just goes to show how the key players are chopping and changing now, and who's coming to the forefront. We are still getting short-term stays, but we're also getting a lot of stays coming in now, long-term, with businesses, especially a lot of new businesses as well that are opening up and starting to move into the marketplace, which is phenomenal. So there's a lot of positive things that are starting to happen. More than anything, again, I think it all comes down to your service. Our guest experience scores at the moment, we're looking at 9 in the Stay Cities and 9.5 in our Wild, which is our 4-star brands. So we are moving pretty rapidly to gain the momentum and gain our market share, which is most important.
Thanks, Amanda. Thank you. Sorry, I'd got myself on mute and I couldn't find the unmute. Richard, is that the, because again, so Amanda was saying there about companies sort of, you know, expanding, growing. It's not not a frightening experience. In fact, also a movement away from, you mentioned the regions, Amanda, there, and there has been over this period a lot of reports that customers, clients, guests are moving out of town as well. It's out of the city centres, so maybe that's also kind of a regional kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, how have you found it, Richard? Because as a company, am I right in saying that you are one of the fastest growing companies in the UK?
Maybe not as fast as Stay City, but but we have opened since March last year 8 new locations, and one of them in a different country, which with COVID has been interesting, because out of our entire team, only 2 of us have been there, and the last time we were actually in our Danish location was December of last year. So it's quite difficult to manage with the distance, but our ops team has done a fantastic job and have managed to do it. We're similar to Stay City, I suppose. Our stays, and probably everyone here, we've all seen the stay length vary, the time it takes for people to book. So at the moment, I think we're starting to see the longer stays really coming back in certain locations. So Canary Wharf, which was, yeah, so I think everyone could agree, who's got any in the centre of London, was hit pretty hard. That's now our strongest site. So it has really started to come back. Our length of stay there is about 30 to 45 nights. Before, in the worst days, it was 4 or 5 days. But it really is, for us, we see a massive difference in the regions. So they all fared much better than our city centre locations. But like Sarah and Martin were saying, it's a bit crazy at the moment. And June actually, I would say. June and July have happened and it's gone, someone's turned the tap on. August, it's overflowing. We just have to hope it continues into the new year, really. But
right. Yeah, thank you. And Sarah, Martin, Peter, any kind of?
I think it's the lead times were 24 hours at one point. It was or that day, that morning, you'd get a call and someone would need something today, and it was, like I say, it was very reactive. But now it's great. It's still short lead times, shorter than usual. But some nice sort of later on bookings, sort of September, October time as well for 30 nights. So it is coming back. It is nice to see that people are confident enough to book that far in advance. Also, our flexible cancellation is still there, and it will still be there, and we will still keep hold of that. I think it's not gone away. It's still here. We learn to live with it, and that's the way it goes. I think it's just really nice to see. It's a nice busy. It's not a mad frantic run around busy. It's a nice busy, and it's a positive busy.
Yeah, indeed. Martin or Peter, anything to add on that aspect?
Well, I've just had a quick look. Our calendar is now quite full until mid-August, and then it's starting to gradually tail off. So I would say still shorter booking shorter to when they need it, but we have just like everybody else started to see some September through to I would say March activity, which is very good. We've got people who come back to us every year. We've got some ITV studios nearby and they're doing various TV shows, so they're planning ahead, and they block book quite a few apartments, which is handy for us. So we're already in discussions with them for Dancing on Ice, for The Masked Singer, different shows like that. So that's quite good. And then on a day-to-day, we're week to week. We're just getting a lot of. We want to come back next week with the contractors. We're needing to come back next week, and then again, and then again. And of course, all you can say is book early to avoid disappointment.
Yeah. It's just true. Yeah. Gone are the days where you could extend and somebody could ring you sort of in the morning before they checked out to extend for another week. That's just not. Yeah, it's not happening anymore.
Now it's busy, and we're seeing a good strong leisure return. We've got Harry Potter nearby, Whipsnade Zoo, the Snow Centre. So we're getting people now coming for 2-3 day trips for that, usually around the weekends, which fills out the gaps nicely. So yeah, now it's nice, and let's just, I'm confident actually the way it's looking that we'll have a good year.
It's strange.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's strange how the positivity. To be honest, I mean, we've banned the word COVID over here with our staff because we've heard it so much.
I banned the virus.
The main thing is the positivity in things starting to build, and also we've gone full circle. We've gone back to people want to speak to people. We are having procurement people who want to come directly through to us. They don't want to be dealing with lots and lots of middlemen anymore. They want to build that rapport and get those relationships built again. We had a meeting with Hotel Res this week, and they actually said partners want to come and speak to you. They want to come and view. So I think we need to get back to getting people into our properties, opening our doors and letting them come and view again. We have to move forward with the economy. It's so important to start to build and get the message out there, get the feel good message out there. You know what I mean? We've had COVID, we're going through it. We've all gone through all the jabs and everything, but we have to move forward and start to get back to some sort of normality.
Yeah, indeed. Peter, so your own kind of profile with regards to bookings, so advanced bookings, is that your experience in Birmingham as well, that things are beginning to get back to some degree, some type of normality?
It's definitely a massive change. Calendar it's gone crazy in the last 2-3 weeks. I wouldn't say so many advanced booking, but we have advanced bookings as well. We still have at least 50% of the bookings, if not more, longer bookings, but literally the calendar is full. And yes, the short leisure came back as well. We put the price up, like it was before COVID. In some cases, even higher, and we still have customers. Calendar is fully booked. Some of them it's a couple of weeks, some of them for a couple of months, some of them keep changing every 2-3 days. So it's a mix of, but definitely I see the huge change.
Okay, great, thank you. So let's have a look, see some comments coming in. So Sarah White from M Assessment, Quality in Tourism, Safe, Clean and Legal. Hi Sarah, I'd like to mention something with accreditation a little later. Dee, hi everyone, greetings from Watford. Hi Dee. Raj, Paragon Bank recently reported 90% positivity among SMEs. Amanda's right that getting the message out there about positive changes is important. Right, yeah. Wow, 90% positivity. Bianca, hi from Berlin, Bianca. And right, now at this stage, thank you everybody for posting comment, questions. Thanks Raj for that one, and all the positivity that we can generate is good. I will at this stage run the sponsors video, and then when we come back, I'm running a little bit late. Unfortunately, we've only got a quarter of an hour left, but we'll go on to some other aspects, but also then how we're seeing the future, like from now the rest of the year. Basically, I don't know if I want to look further than that these days. We go with the sponsors video. And we're back again. I always do the end of that video. Have I got turned into a duck again? I can hear some feedback again. Put your hand up if it's getting really bad. Every time I speak, does it sound strange?
No.
No, it's all right there. It's when you
Yeah.
get closer.
Yeah.
Always.
Always, yeah, Martin. Yeah. Thank you, Martin. Right. Yeah, it's so coming out of COVID, if we can put it like that, and we're talking about a lot of frantic bookings since July, and a while back now, a couple of months ago at least, our American cousins were reporting a lot of business stuck in that pipeline, which is now coming out, and it might even have moved to the situation where we have gosh, I'm getting feedback, where we have surplus demand because some of the accommodation is closed, and therefore that will mean prices going up and everything like that. So that's the overall situation or danger, it would seem. We've all learned about that mix of corporates, contractors, and leisure. The contractor market has certainly become more prominent over the past year. And the corporates are starting to come back. Domestic corporates probably predominantly. I was watching a webinar yesterday, and they were saying that, and maybe somebody from the States can confirm this in the comments, that there's a waiting list of visas, getting a visa for the United States, taking us into May of 2022. So don't book your holidays. That's how I understood it at least. So in other words, corporates going over to the States will find it quite difficult. Whether they're coming over here or not is something else. I think over the COVID period, we've thankfully or gratefully become closer to the sectors in the States and in Europe and Australia and the Middle East as well. It's shown by the viewers today, and thank you very much for tuning in. So it's become the world's become smaller, and the sector has changed. And what I would like to kind of understand in your own businesses is how much has changed, do you think, or how much will it have changed in the next few months? I mean, I was very interested in what you were saying, Richard, regarding production of face-to-face, a nicer product, really. And I think it was yourself, Martin, that was saying about operations changing. I know that you, Sarah, you've introduced an awful lot with sanitation. I'm a massive fan. I mentioned when Sarah's comment came up there, I'm a massive fan of accreditation as being something which is very recognizable for potential guests to reassure them that they are safe in a property. So, I mean, if we could perhaps, because we've got 10 minutes, so I can't divide 10 by 6, I'm afraid. I'm famously very bad at maths, but we've got 10 minutes between the five of us.
2 minutes each.
So 2 minutes each, yeah. So Sarah, go backwards, please. Sarah, what are the main aspects of changes in your business? Please?
Do you know what? I think it's been the sort of the knowledge that we can do this. We can get through it. We're seeing the international travellers with the lifting of quarantine. Yes, from 4 o'clock this morning, I think, or was it 4 o'clock Monday? So that's going to make a huge difference. People will travel. It's whether they're confident or not. And it's whether they want to get here and think, oh, actually, I might not be able to get back. That's yes, it's open. Yes, you can fly. And we're seeing family units traveling more than just the mum or dad who's on business. Everyone's coming, so they don't get separated. And I think that's a change. But no, positivity. We've got we've learned to live with this. We've got through it. we've done okay. We're still here and we're still shouting service departments, service accommodation from the rooftops, because it is the best way to travel and stay. And accreditation as well, Richard, is very important to our industry, whether it's just regulation or proper accreditation. I don't know, but something overall as a industry has to happen, standard.
Yeah, exactly. Not just in the UK, but globally. And I think that move is starting, where you've got the different accreditation companies. If nobody can make it global, at least that they're recognised as being a part of a certain group.
Yeah.
Indeed. Thanks, Sarah. Martin, any changes afoot?
No particular change, but I just want to have a quick soapbox moment about accreditation, and a bit devil's advocate, so you're going to have to forgive me here. At the moment, I've had quite a few years where we've been accredited. Right now, we're not actually accredited. Wash my mouth.
I should say I can mute you, so go ahead.
So right now, I'm not accredited. I've been going 14 years, and I believe I started before the accreditors did. More than 50, a good amount more than 50% of our current business is referral and return guests. We're doing a good job. For me, I'm slightly curious or questioning accreditation, not overall, because I do see it as a value, but where I see the big problem with accreditation is that the end user doesn't really have a clue.
Yeah.
So I'm not accredited just now, and I'm actually, without exaggerating, 100% full. So why do I need accreditation?
Yeah.
I've got a good product. I'm very conscientious about our safety standards, etc. And unless the end user has, genuine understanding and appreciation of what a logo means for an accreditant, I'm not really sure, because all I see it as, there's a few different competitors who are trying to insert themselves between me and my customer and take a slice. And
okay.
Really?
All right. So in terms of changes, though, no, fair enough. Everyone, because everyone's entitled to those opinions, and that's. And
I see the value of accreditation, especially when you're dealing with cowboy operators. But I think the whole accreditation industry needs to find a way of the end user knowing what they mean. Unless the person booking the apartment says, "Oh, right, so they're guaranteed, they're accredited by such and such, they've got to be good." Right now, you can say they're accredited by IPRAC, and what does IPRAC mean? So or who are these guys? So does the end customer know that? And I think that's what the accreditors have to sort themselves out on.
No, sure. I mean, and out of discussions comes a better product. So yeah, no, fair enough. I'll be bringing Glenn from Response Accommodation onto the stage shortly. I see he's just joined us backstage. But Peter, so I'll bring Glenn on in a minute. And Peter, any changes in your own business? I mean, you're moving pretty fast, so I suppose it's changing every day. But are there any particular plans that you have at Peter? Just make you're on mute, Peter.
Yeah, sorry. What was that? I was really barely heard you.
Right. No problem. So we're talking about changes planned through to the end of the year, really, and whether COVID has changed your, I suppose, business model or approach. Any changes? Doesn't have to be.
No. It's been a lot of changes. In terms of the business model and how we operate. It's not just about, obviously, I mentioned, it's not just about the size of the team, but also all the precautions regarding the cleaning process. Everything is recorded. Obviously, the cleaner goes there. They do the checks and everybody sign off. And even after the property manager goes there as well and double check them, and everybody sign off everything. So it's a lot of extra work actually in terms of, let's say, safety and in terms of cleanness. to provide let's say COVID protocol cleaning, following that road, and also a lot of other changes as well. Other changes in terms of business model. Since COVID, obviously we tend to take longer bookings, and it's still the case. However, as I said, sometimes we still take 2-3 nights shorter bookings as well. So it's not a major change in terms of accreditation. I can agree on that part with Martin. Customers, I mean, at least the leisure customers might not know what's the difference between someone credited accredited or without. Corporates obviously knows, but might not be the leisures. So yeah, it's a tricky one. We definitely do our best as well to adopt the situation, and try to adopt to the new market.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Peter. Thank you, Glenn. Welcome. We'll come on to you in a minute. Bear with us. We're just going around the gallery, but we'll come on to you in a moment, Glenn. And welcome, Glenn from Response Accommodation. Yeah, Richard, and then Amanda, please, regarding changes.
So changes for us, I think we've made all the changes now, but we're continuing to grow, really. We have another 5 properties opening this year in the pipeline, and then we've got a few more back in the early part of next year. I think really for us, it's just, continuing to go strong, really. And, everybody that's on this call, if anyone's on here now, I think everybody that's managed to get through COVID can really get through anything. It doesn't really matter what else people throw at you. If your business can survive COVID, you will survive and you will flourish and move forward. I think from our part, and certainly my personal part, we've learned loads about how our business runs. We've assessed it so much. We look at a lot more things, a lot more detail than we did before. And we probably have had some realizations. We continue to try and push direct. We were perhaps lazy in the past and, maybe relied on certain agencies or OTAs more than we should have. But sometimes you're pushed into things. So I know COVID's been awful, but actually some positives have come out of it. So everyone on this panel has been positive and everybody is stronger. Everyone's come out of this stronger, which is a really, really good thing.
Yeah, nice and positive there. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, Amanda, I know there's lots of changes.
Lots and lots of changes. I think this is going to be ongoing, to be honest, because we've got another 6 properties next year as well that we're going to be opening. So lots of changes here. I think the biggest changes have been working smarter, working with new processes, especially from a sales team. We've had a sales team that's gone from 10 people up to 32 and it's growing. So a lot of trust, and it's amazing how productivity has increased as well through COVID, which is phenomenal, and all credit to the people who are part of the business. More than anything else, I think we've had changes as well with how we view our clients, because if you imagine at one point we didn't have any main line numbers that went through to buildings anymore. Everyone was remote, so you had to go and get people's mobile numbers in order to maintain that link with your corporates. So I think that has grown and got an awful lot of respect now from businesses who have been with us, who are moving forward with. As Sarah was saying, apartments have come into their own. I came in 9 years ago. They were barely recognised. I think now we're at the forefront because everything is integrated within it. They can cook there, they can work from there. So we're moving more and more towards, working in an apartment and using it as an office with meeting rooms, having facilities there where you can bring guests in as well. So lots of changes for the best, to be honest. And what do they say? I think it's something like recessions and wars, as awful as they are, they bring out the best in some companies and process and initiatives to move things forward. So as awful as it has been, there's been some good things that are coming out. And I think people empathise more with each other, which is great. So that sums it up for me. Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's great. Really nice and positive. Thank you. So, Glenn, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know we're over time. Do any of the panel have to go for another call at this time? At this stage? No, you're okay for 5 minutes or so. Yeah, okay. Glenn, would you like to? So we've run a sponsors video. Glenn from Response Accommodation, very valued sponsor of the Blue Room. So thank you for that. Glenn, do you want to, talk about noisy in the background around you?
Yeah, hopefully I haven't got too much background noise because I'm live from Homerton.
Where's that? An airport?
In the pub.
Homerton Hospital. I'm very close
Homerton
to
Hospital.
I'm very close to Homerton Hospital, and I have found a pub. But it's not quite got. And Richard will know I'm constantly traveling around. You guys will know, anybody who's connected with me. There's not a coffee shop locally, so I had to choose the pub.
Okay, should have gone to Stay City.
Is there Stay City near Homerton? Who's got a venue near Homerton? That's actually quite interesting.
Haven't a clue, actually. Now, so yeah, you go ahead though. In a nutshell, Response Accommodation and what you do.
So, Response Accommodation is a responsible accommodation provider, and we work with government organisations like the NHS, like the Ministry of Justice, and we help to connect the contracts of need, whether that's vulnerable people or whether that's staff, with accommodation providers out in the community, and that includes service department providers, and all sorts of providers that can provide accommodation for the people that we care for.
Perfect. Yeah. So looking after the vulnerable, isn't it? So we've had ex-offenders, the NHS, and you deal a lot with government departments. Is that right?
That's correct. So we are a COVID-driven business. We have been brought forward by COVID itself. We were formed as a business last year during COVID. So we have that responsibility at heart, and we have that making a difference at heart. And yes, we secure government contracts. We've been able to do a lot during COVID, and one of the things that we did was house ex-offenders during COVID, and we did that in service departments. And some of the providers who've worked with us may very well be listening to this call. And currently we've got an NHS requirement that we're working on to house the people who've cared for us during the pandemic. The NHS, many people have left. Many people are transferring around the country, and the service department community has an opportunity to help the NHS to do that, to continue providing the wonderful service that they provided during the pandemic.
Right, perfect. Thanks, Glenn. Thank you. Right, I'm going to run a few comments now from
do you mind, Richard, if I just say the locations that we're looking right now?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So if you're anywhere in South London, near Bethlehem Royal Hospital, Guy's Hospital, Lambeth Hospital, Lewisham, Heather Close Clinic, the Maudsley Hospital, St Thomas's Hospital, the University Hospital Lewisham, those have requirements right now. And also in Hertfordshire, the Watford General Hospital, Hemel Hempstead Hospital, and St Albans City Hospital. If you guys have any venues near there, it's really, really helpful if you can get in touch with us and take up that opportunity to really make a difference for the NHS.
Great, thanks, Glenn. So that's across South London, isn't it? Really,
South London. And Hertfordshire. So that's in the northern section as well.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you. Right, so we'll run a few comments from the viewers, and again, thank you everybody for tuning in live and the recordings. Jackie Rowan, they're from Court. and from Houston, and she's based in Houston. Actually, Jackie's a fellow Mancunian. So hi, Jackie. Priya, that's tuning in from Birmingham. Now then, there is a couple of comments here. So the cost of tests are quite expensive, which is putting people off. So testing, yeah, I suppose that's coming out of quarantine with quarantine, is it?
Yeah. We had some. We had a couple in from Mauritius, and they were coming to see their family here, their son here, but they were charged something like £150 per test.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have to prove that they've ordered them, so they can't just come to the UK and go in an apartment and order them via 119 or do it that way. They have to pay for them before they get here.
Right.
And fill out the whole passenger locator form and get called by the authorities every day to make sure they are where they say they are.
Right. I mean, thanks, Sarah, for that. And yeah, Priya's making that comment as well regarding confusion. And I suppose that's been one of the kind of features, hasn't it, of the past 1.5 years, that you just simply don't know what the latest ones are. So, and yeah, add to that the different home, the countries, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. It's just, and Bianca there in the audience will also be. They have the same problem in Germany with the different areas, and in the States as well, of course. And we've got
the question. The answer to Priya's question at the moment, I think, is if they are, excuse me, if they're coming from the US or Europe or the UK, no, they don't. But see below for more comments.
Yeah.
Look on the website and be even more confused.
Well, exactly. I mean, back in the grimmer days, it was you weren't even allowed to come across the border from Wales, I don't think, were you? It's crazy. So Jamie here from Mississippi, from Murphy's Corporate Housing Associates. A bit late getting on due to meetings, but wonderful bunch in this panel today. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks very much. That's the same one there. With the shortage in supply and the demand skyrocketing, are your clients understanding the hike in prices? Yeah, we mentioned we touched on that earlier on. Most of our clients are aware and okay with these increases. That's interesting, because I remember thanks for that, Jamie. I remember when the pipeline thing was first discussed, and there was some concern as to whether corporates would be prepared to, I don't know about prepared, but whether they would accept the increase in prices. And early indications then suggesting that they are. And I think Jamie's a good kind of, a good judge there, because they're running on 97% occupancy right now. And so if they're only 97% occupancy and increased,
supply and demand, if they need to accommodate people, and and the only accommodation is at whatever the price is, then
exactly. I was just going to say that the perception of value for money as well, isn't it? So if one company, one corporate values their travellers, their employees more than another, then they're going to expect to pay more for their accommodation.
And also it's matching to brands as well, because if you're going to sell, we've got the 3 stars with the apart hotels, 4 stars with the Wild brand. You need the right clients to match with the right product. It's very important, rather than just feeding one from the other one. And so it's the value proposition that you're giving them in the first place when you're selling to them.
I think that there's an important input from our side. I mean, obviously, with the type of contracts that we deal with, sometimes the government budgets can be constrained. And we're all what we've seen is the openness of the community to support those contracts and the way they are. So that's something to bear in mind as well. It's important to raise the prices to maintain the industry. it's important to charge the clients the appropriate value. But bear in mind that community supportive feel as well to deliver on what we're doing, and that's something we've shaped over time with you guys. You guys have been incredibly supportive of that, and we've been really, really grateful.
Thanks, Glenn. The noise in the background reminds me of the swimming pool.
I don't know what they're playing now.
Oh, right, okay. And that's a nice introduction for Liz Martin there. Liz Martin, hi all.
It's mellow yellow at the moment.
There you go. So, Liz, Martin, you're on mute. Hang on. There you go. Yeah, Liz from Chicago there. Lizzie Beats. So she's a DJ on Facebook as well, but is actually she will be a DJ on some of the ERC Employee Relocation Council meetings that a lot of the global mobility people go to in the States. She's actually going to be a DJ at one of their parties. Liz, so post the details if you can, and post also your company details in chat. That'd be great. Quickly referring to so Angela there from Priya, if you have information from where the guests came from and the restrictions, you can include this information in the booking or registration card by email, and then Priya responds to that. So
Yeah.
Angela, this particular guest, was contacted me today, have rescheduled their stay 4 weeks. 4 weeks in, isn't it? Are coming from Belgium but passing through France in the Eurotunnel, so they don't know where they stand. Yeah, wow. Okay. Any comments on that? Then please.
It's Belgium different to France though? They're not in the EU.
I thought it's the same country.
No.
I think it's because France is Amber Plus, so they have to have the special quarantine.
But do they still, even with letting anybody in from the EU if they've been double jabbed?
Well, that's a good question. Oh no, they do, because it's only on green listed countries.
But even letting anybody in from the EU if they've been double jabbed, so it's green listed only.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's my understanding. But it could be very wrong.
Okay, because the way I read it was everybody was going to get them all in.
They
everyone from the EU.
I think the bigger bounce will be from the US, because they reported today that there's been a 250% increase in bookings today for US travel inwards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense, doesn't it, as well? Because you don't want to have a sort of a 10-hour flight to get here and have 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever it is quarantine, and then go home again. It's kind of, what's the point? But so France is an exception. Yes, they always are an exception to any rule.
Bianca's saying Germany have higher restrictions on coming to the country as of August the 1st.
Wow.
It's going to be individual countries, isn't it? And it's just going to be just ask.
They're going to chop and change, aren't they? Yeah, continually. Yeah.
And I think that it is yes, everything's fine and we're all coming in, but people are going to be worried about getting to a country and not being able to get back, or getting here and not being able to get back, or being. Am I boring you, Glenn?
Oh no, that's something I can input into, because actually we are a global community here in the Blue Room, and ultimately if our clients get stuck and they can't move, we can help them, and that's something that Response Accommodation has been facilitating right now for some people who are stuck in the UK or have a risk of being stuck in certain countries, perhaps on their way home. We've seen that in some markets, and we guys can help each other and
Yeah.
pass our referrals and really make the business
I
happen.
know it's convincing the traveller, though, isn't it? That's what we can do. We all know we can do it. It's just letting them know.
It's a matter of trust, isn't it? And they chose your brand when they booked, or they chose your brand when they, so they put your trust in you. It's brilliant what we can do collectively to help people who are stuck.
Yeah,
Totally.
I agree. 100%.
So all kicking off in the comments as you'll see. So there's Martin. I think we should have all done that together, actually, but I've done it now anyway. So more details there. Come out October 19 to welcome back party for ERC. That's at Hyatt Chicago. Don't know which. Maybe there is more than one Hyatt in Chicago, but where the conference is being held. Oh, okay. More info to come. Great. And Jamie says, Elizabeth, looking forward to this. And Liz says that there's another event as well that's not been released yet. Oh, okay. Wow. By the way, people, on Friday 5 p.m. on Clubhouse, there is a global mobility room where the global mobility kind of community gathers to celebrate the wins of the week, professional and personal. So it's always good to go there. If you're on Clubhouse, look up the Global Mobility Club and also Service Department Club. Jamie, I know, can't wait. Right, then just looking back to Raj, are you all okay still for a couple more minutes on the panel?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, yeah, okay. So Raj has got a question. Do the panel think that the higher levels of staycation will continue into next year? In fact, and are you getting bookings for next year already?
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
The same. Yeah. Now that depends, doesn't it? Because think about it. At the moment, not a lot of people are very confident about traveling. So obviously, when all these amber zones, green zones start to come into play more, maybe they'll just want to be desperate to get out of the country rather than go for the staycations. So it could change.
Yeah, and it's like, the flexible cancellation, you never really know, do you? So, the spread bookings, and they've booked their holiday in wherever in America or South France, and they can't go, then they've got the accommodation in the UK to fall back on. I mean, we all know trying to get a holiday in the UK anywhere at the moment is impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. And if you do find somewhere, they've yiked the prices up about 4 times. So it costs actually more to go to Cornwall than it does to go to Spain.
It depends on the variants, doesn't it? Because you know what I mean, if these variants change and they have to start again, they can't just add another jab or whatever, then it's going to be more complicated, and people still I think there's 50-50 mix at the moment. People are still very nervous about things. So
absolutely,
this could swing either way. I think we're still living with unfortunately these unpredictable times when it comes to trends and forecasting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't. You can't do it. Impossible.
You can't.
Impossible. I could forecast for the next probably 30 minutes. That's about it.
This is it, isn't it? The forecasting side of things, and then also the discussion here. So Angela saying to Priya, if they can travel, but must have. It's
negative PCR test. 48 hours before they arrive.
Right. Okay. There's restrictions from country destination.
So it's country dependent, then, isn't it? It's like nobody really knows. Just check before you leave.
Honestly, yeah. Thank you, Angela. Though, thank you, Priya, for that, and thanks, Raj, and everybody that's posted, and also had a bit of fun in the comments and the questions. So that's great. I don't know at this stage. We're probably about time to say our cheerios. Anybody, though, anything in particular that you'd like to add to the discussion, or in the audience, anything that you'd like to comment or question on? So maybe we go around backwards. Glenn, anything that you'd like to add at this stage before we depart?
I think I'd like to add a sense of brightness, and I know that we're coming out of the pandemic. I know that the rates are rising, and that's great. And I know that a guy in Hackney smiled at me earlier on a moped, and he was an Uber driver, and he said, "You're the smiley guy." And this is what we need out in the world. Let's bring some brightness to our businesses. Let's make a difference to people. Let's try and open up, and let's keep going.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. No, great. Thanks, Glenn. Sarah, I'll come back on that one, Jamie. Sarah?
Yeah, just the same. Keep on being positive. Keep smiling. We are here, and I do think, like you said before earlier, the community's getting smaller, the world's smaller, and we've, we've met a lot of people that we would never have met, because of it. And I think it's just brilliant, and I love it, and I love the industry, and I love our apartments, and it's fab. So just keep smiling.
Thank you. Yeah, indeed. No, that's right. I mean, it's there's a lot of positivity, and actually, it's a natural positivity, isn't it? I don't know what's caused this, whether it's the people in the sector or what. But I mean, we are really actually there is a lot of positivity.
We are hospitality people.
Yeah, because we're all completely bonkers. That's why.
Yeah, lurching from wine time to happy hours. Yeah, that's what we have. So, Martin, are you with us at the moment? Or,
yeah, sorry, I had a very annoying phone call from Booking.com. These guys are real cowboys.
Okay. We're being positive though here. Right?
All right.
Yeah, positive.
It's just about my flights. I had a refundable flight. They're now saying it's not refundable. They've changed it on the actual booking. They said the airline says you have to have a voucher, which is not what it said when I booked it. But now when I go back to look at the booking, they've actually changed it. So I'm just in shock actually at the short time experience.
We'll come back to you for the positive. We'll come back.
Nothing I can do except get my money back some other way from.
Peter,
just a small bit from me. It's funny. It was funny. Sarah mentioned the staycation and how hard to get booked anything if you want to go for holiday within the UK. And I just can't really relating to this because the last couple of weeks I was searching for holidays. Obviously, we couldn't, because of the baby, we couldn't go to abroad. So I was searching for holiday within the UK, and there was no chance I could find anything. And the only lucky chance I had, because we expanding to Turkey, and we took a couple of new apartments. So I took my own apartment, and eventually I managed to get a couple of days off using our own apartment. But other than that, there is no chance we can find anything. So I absolutely am very positive as well. So I wish to you guys as well and everybody else to growing and going to other cities, even internationally. We planning as well, grow very big, and let's keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you. And yeah, exactly. So professionally, and I mean, in the same way with the Global Mobility Room there, with celebrating wins, so I think we want to celebrate your own personal sort of wins and positive, and as well, Peter, with your new arrival. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you guys.
So yeah. Richard, and then Andrew, if I could turn to you, please, just for your final word.
I just think, just to say, really stay positive. We're getting out of it, and yeah, that's about it for me. I think it's just stay positive and stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Amanda, I know that most of the things have already been said when it gets to the last person.
Yeah, I think the main thing is keep talking. Keep the communication there. It's so important. From day one, it felt really lonely not being in an office speaking with people. And now we've all got used to being remote, but oh my goodness, have we built up our networks. That's the fantastic thing about it. We've all sort of changed and gone through enormous growth curves, and it's brought us to a good place. So let's keep this up.
Yeah, exactly. Here. No, indeed. Thank you, everybody. I'll come back in a minute. I just want to run through some of the comments here. Where's it gone? There you go, Angela. So being very positive, and thanks, Angela, for your input there in the comments. Jamie, Sarah's correct. I can see a heavy uptick in extensions due to lockdown reoccurring from the variants in COVID. Yeah, I think that the Delta variant, they're trying to keep the Delta variant under in control in the States, aren't they? It's not slowing business down at all for the moment, however. Okay, thanks, Jamie, for that. Mike, let's all join Glenn for the next Blue Room. Sounds funky there. Looking forward to the Great Ether Live networking events. Yeah, looking forward to getting together again, Mike. So thanks for that. Now then, and I think I've got everyone. Great discussion, everyone. Thanks, always great hosting, Richard. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks very much for your support. Thank you very much for your support at Sabah as well. Thanks everybody for joining us today and for watching the recordings as well. So I'll go around in reverse order. Glenn, thank you. Glenn, response accommodation. Sarah, week to week. Martin, actually, did you want to say anything there with regards to your own and the positivity side of things? You're on mute. Actually, I didn't do it. You're on mute.
Yeah. Regarding what?
Just sort of, how you see the year and there's been a lot of positivity really in people's comments.
Yeah, no, I'm actually very positive. I think just really focusing firmly on, all the important variables, outgoings, keep them low, driving business wherever and however possible. We're doing that. We're focused on that and making sure the product is up to standard at all times, which is critical. For now, I'm looking to consolidate as much as possible. I would like to grow, but I don't want to grow for the sake of it. But I can see it becoming necessary and I can see it happening. So that's good. We'll see. I think we'll have a strong year now, and then who knows what's going to happen.
Right. Great. Thank you. So, sorry, where was I at? So we've got Glenn, response accommodation. Thank you. Sarah, week to week. Martin, abode bed. Peter from Pluxer Apartments. Richard from Charles Hope, and Amanda from Stay City Apart Hotels. Thank you everybody for taking part today and for your very valuable time. So really appreciate. Thanks again to the viewers. I will now play the outro unless anybody's got anything else to add. Forever hold your peace. Silence. Right. And I will. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I will play the outro video. But yeah, let's do a quick.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. And I advise everybody to leave the stage because when the video finishes, then you'll just be left there otherwise looking at the camera. So here we go. Thanks again. Thank you.